You did the hard part and you planned your homepage with strategy in mind. And now it's time to bring it to life. In this tutorial, I'll walk you through exactly how to build your homepage inside of Squarespace 7.1 Fluid Engine using the same layout we looked at last time. So by the end, you'll have a homepage that not only looks great, but is ready to attract clients as well. If you haven't done your brand strategy work and you want to follow along this video using your own, then you're definitely going to want to check out my previous video first. I'll link it below and then come back here when you're ready to build. Okay, so I lied a little bit. We're not actually jumping into Squarespace just yet. We are here in Figma. Figma is a UI UX design tool that's commonly used for wireframing and prototyping websites. So why are we in here? Well, because when I create websites, I always start out by sketching things out, and this is what's known as a wireframe. Using the copy and content ideas I pulled from my anatomy of a homepage PDF and the homepage builder AI tool, I already had most of the content ready to go, but I really wanted a way to visualize how everything would come together on the page. And this is what we're looking at now. Now, don't worry, you don't need to use Figma if you're DIYing. A piece of paper and a pencil works great. I do recommend though sketching things out if you can, but I do find in Squarespace, especially if you already know a bit or you're familiar with the platform, it's not 100% necessary to wireframe out. Normally though, if I were designing professionally, I would go one step further than this wireframe here, and I would wireframe a high fidelity layout and version of this wireframe in Figma, using the actual fonts, imagery, and the color palette for the site. But for this walkthrough, I'm just keeping it super DIY friendly, and there's no need to learn another program or overcomplicate things at all. So a high fidelity wireframe is basically a pretty much near exact replica of what you can expect your actual homepage inside of Squarespace to look like. Now, if we scroll over here, you'll see that I've actually laid out some of the visual brand elements. This includes the chosen typefaces, color palette, and imagery. So I did decide on these things during my website planning process using a fictional character called Ayla Fern. She is a nutritionist who specializes in gut health, and she views food as a kind of medicine. So the strategy work pointed me in this visual direction for a few key reasons. I felt like using this green primary color palette was a natural fit for a brand like this. Her imagery is actually quite bold and a bit playful with a bit of a fashion edge. So that's why I chose both serif fonts for her headings and body copy, because they really help elevate and lean into that more editorial feel. Her logo is actually a simple word mark, but it's got a script font element which really breaks it up and adds a friendlier and more human touch to balance out the overall look. These elements work well together to reflect the kind of brand she is and the client experiences that she wants to offer. All right, now that we've covered that, we are actually now ready to jump on into Squarespace. Okay, so now we're here in the Squarespace dashboard. This is what you'll likely see. Since we've got everything done, we want to start with a blank website template and not an existing one, as it will be easier to build everything out. But for some reason, if you head on over to create a website, Squarespace has actually removed the option from the main dashboard to easily start from a blank section. It will take you through a bunch of questions. You'll end up at their AI tool or their templates side of things. And those options are okay, but I don't find them as helpful as it is starting from a blank section, especially when you know what you're looking for. So after a bit of digging, I found that you can actually still access the blank templates at this specific URL. I will put the link in the description. If you head on over to this part here, when you're logged into Squarespace and you click start with this design, it will actually allow you to start with a blank template. So let's go start with this design. Now that we're here inside of Squarespace and we are in a blank template, let's explain the layout a little bit. On the left side here, we have our sidebar, and this houses all the features that are possible inside of Squarespace. Generally, these are add-on features. So for example, a couple of these like products and services, content and membership scheduling, things like that are actually paid add-on features. And what is cool is that Squarespace recently updated this so you can tidy up your sidebar. You can hide the ones that you're not using, and I recommend that we go ahead and do this because it will make coming in editing your website a whole lot easier. So if you head on down to the customized sidebar down here, I think we should just turn off all of the features here because these things are paid add-on products, except for the setup guide here. I don't mind leaving that on or turning it off, so we'll just close that. And now you can see that our sidebar is so much tidier and it's just easier to look at really. When we're designing our website, it makes it a whole lot nicer. And of course, if you do ever decide to add on one of these features and you want to see it in the menu, then definitely come on into the sidebar. You can come back in and turn any of these on at any time again. Okay, so now that we've done that, we are staring at a blank template, and we are going to want to start off first by adjusting our site styles. The site styles are basically the base creative direction for your whole entire website. So they include your color palette, your button styles, and your typography choices. So essentially our creative direction slide that I showed you in Figma. To do this, we have to head over to the right-hand side on the paintbrush tool here. So if we hover over it, it says Site Styles. So you'll want to click in there. And once we do that, it opens up a menu to the side. And this is where we can see what happens when we make our changes. So I just want to point out that setting these styles here is basically a global change for your whole entire website. So that means that the font choices, the color palette, and button styles for the most part here are what you will get in your website. You don't have that much flexibility inside of Squarespace unless you use code to add multiple fonts and colors and things like that. But in my opinion, it does make it really easy to get a consistent look straight out of the box. But then a positive can always be a negative as well. So like, because of that, there are some limitations. Okay, now we want to go through and set up our site styles, but actually what I would like to do firstly before we do that is add in a little bit of content from our Figma wireframe so we can actually see in real time things updating a little bit. So to do this, we just want to close our site styles for now and click on this blue button here that says Add Section. Click on Add a Blank Section here, and now we have a nice blank section. So we just want to add a text block. So select text, and we want to just copy and paste our first bunch of text from our wireframe. We want that to be heading 1 for our main. We want to add another text block, and this will be paragraph 1. And we also want to add a button. And we will add a text. Go into the edit pencil here and paste in your text. Highlight everything and drag it down just a touch and add one more text block to the top and copy our text here. Paste it in. We want to make this monospace for now. Okay, so now we've got our base set up. Let's hit save on the top left. Now, let's head on back into our site styles. So you'll see that at the top there is something called the Themes tab. This is Squarespace suggesting a range of pre-made color and typography themes, which can be a great starting point if you're unsure about your color palette or typography. It's perfect if you want to quickly test out styles. It will save you a lot of time having to plug them in manually. But since we've already gone and done our strategy work, we know what we're looking for. So we're actually going to skip themes altogether and just focus on the elements we've chosen. I close that. The next option is fonts. So if we click the little arrow to the side, this will take us into our font setup. So now we're going to add our heading font. So click into headings, and it says Helvetica Neue, which is the predetermined font that Squarespace has suggested. We are going to search for Instrument Serif, which is our chosen font. And it's here inside of Squarespace, which is great. It is a Google font, so a lot of the time Google fonts will be inside Squarespace already. We are going to tweak these settings just a little bit. If we look to the side, we can see that our headline text has already changed, which is amazing. We're just going to tweak it a little bit further. For weight, there's only one option, 400, so we're going to leave it as it is. For style, we're going to leave it as normal because we don't want all of our heading text to be italicized like this. We're going to leave it normal. Line height, we're actually going to set it to 1.2, which is just slightly tighter. And then for letter spacing, we are going to make it a tiny bit tighter and do -0.02, just to really get that editorial feel. So you can adjust the slider either way to make it more spread out or tighter together. Because this really fits with our brand strategy work, I'm deciding to make it just a little bit tighter. Okay, and now our text transform, we're going to leave it as none because again, this just lets you select uppercase for everything, lowercase or capitalized. We just want the flexibility to have everything really. So below this, we see our sizes. Our heading is going to be 4 rem. Our headline is going to be 2.8, so I'll change that slightly, 2.8 rem. Headline 3 is going to be 2.2, and headline 4 is going to be a little bit larger at 1.6. So rem stands for root M, and it's a flexible unit that scales based on your site's base font, making your text more consistent across devices. And that's all set up now. So if we go back into our fonts area here, you'll see that we do have a base size of 16. I do want to increase that by 1 overall, so the base will start at 17. We want to head into our paragraphs. We can see that Arial is our current paragraph font. So we do want to change this, and we want to change it to the font newsreader. So we'll just search here in the bar, and we've found it here. Great, and we can see to the side that our font has changed as well. Now that we have changed fonts, we're going to leave our weight at 400. We're going to leave the style at normal, and we are going to change the line height slightly tighter together at 1.5, just to really create that cohesive appearance between the header and the body text. The text transform will be none. I'll leave paragraph 1 and 2 the same, and I'll reduce paragraph 3 slightly to 0.8. And now we can see that things have changed. So I really do find it helpful to add a bunch of our paragraph text here so we can see what changes we're making globally. If you wanted to, you could even add all your paragraph fonts and your header fonts as well in one go to see what the changes look like globally. Now let's head back out of our fonts site, our font styles, and we'll head into our buttons. This is where you'll set your button font styles, so the fonts that your buttons will use. For our buttons, we've actually gone with another font called Roboto Mono, so we just look for that. Here we go. Set the weight to 400. We'll keep it at normal. We'll keep the letter spacing to 0, and we'll keep the size, we'll shrink it down to 0.8. And next, if we scroll down, we'll see our secondary button font is Helvetica Neue, but we will make it Roboto Mono again. So we'll click that here. We will go to 400 for our weight. We'll leave it at normal. Our letter spacing will be 0. Our text transform for this one will be uppercase, and we will choose 0.7 for our secondary font. And our tertiary font, we are going to use Roboto Mono again. We're going to go to 400. We will go to 0. We'll keep our size at 0.9 for this. Now we'll head back out of there. And lastly, we have our miscellaneous font. This font is used for things like blog tags and prices, small elements that still need to feel cohesive with the rest of your typography. So in this instance, we are going to use Vera Sans Condensed. And we are going to use 500. We're going to use normal. Line height will be 1.1. Letter spacing will be 0.1. Text transform will be uppercase this time, and our size will be 0.7. So in this design, I've actually used the miscellaneous font as a kind of highlight or accent text. For example, above certain headers, like for our main header here, Digestive Health Grounded in Science, we have an accent that says Gut Health Nutritionist in Melbourne. So this just adds a subtle layer of visual contrast without needing to crack out the custom code. So it just keeps it DIY friendly. So we'll go back here, and now we have set up our font styles, and make sure you just save periodically as well. Okay, now we want to set up our color palette. So we'll head out of site styles. We will head down to colors. So we'll move into editing our color palette here. So click into edit palette. This is where we'll paste all of our hex codes. We've already chosen these, so I'll quickly add them in here now. Okay, great. It's also worth pointing out that there are a couple of color presets that Squarespace provides, and you can also choose your color palette based on things like an image or from a color. So that is worth looking into if you don't quite have your color palette figured out yet. So if we head back into our main colors section here, you'll see that our section color themes have actually updated. Squarespace creates 10 unique color combinations based on your selected colors. So it ranges from light to dark. These presets are great for maintaining visual consistency, and we can tweak them further if needed, which we may touch on later on in this tutorial. Now we are ready to set up our button style. So we'll head out of here and we will click on buttons down here. Starting with the primary button, we will click into it here. And we've already got our font side of it set up. It's based on what we set up previously, but we want to change some of the other options around. For this site, I actually want to have a rounded rectangle as the main shape, not a standard rectangle with the pointed edges. I'm going to leave everything else the same, but I am going to change left and right to match top and bottom. So we'll just change it to 1.2. This will make the spacing just more even around all corners. We'll head over to our secondary button style at the top here, and we'll do the same thing. We'll make a rounded rectangle shape, and we'll also change it to 1.2. For this one, we're just going to have the difference being the typography being all caps. And for our tertiary option, we are going to have a rounded rectangle again, and we are going to 1.2 again, and we'll save that, and we'll head out of our button style. Great. So below our buttons, you can see that we can see forms. This is where you can style how your form fields look, but for now we're actually going to leave this default, and maybe we'll tweak it once we've added our form to the page if we need to. But generally, I do find the forms look quite good out of the box. Lastly, if you scroll down, you'll see this miscellaneous section here, and it has ability to control things like animation, spacing, and image block styling. So for this website, I didn't actually make any of these changes or add in animations, but if you are interested in having a kind of animation for your website, it's definitely worth checking out your animation options here. They offer a few, and they can look quite good when used strategically. But that is it for our site styles. So now we're actually ready to start building each section of our homepage based on the copy and content ideas from the Anatomy of a Homepage PDF and the AI Builder, and of course our Figma wireframe. So let's get into it. All right, now we're going to edit our site header. So let's just save our site really quickly and close our site styles. And now we'll be able to edit our site header. So you're going to want to do that by being inside of the edit menu. And let me just show you real quickly how to get into the edit menu. So when you're not inside the edit menu, you can't edit your site. But by clicking on the button up here that says edit, you can jump straight on into the edit menu, which then you'll see things like add sections, add blocks, and bounding boxes, and that sort of thing that lets you know that you're in the edit menu. For our header, if we go back to our wireframe really quick, we can see that the first thing we want to do is change the layout of our header. We want our logo in the center and our button to the right side and our pages to the left. So that's very easy to do inside of Squarespace, and how we want to do that is we click on the pencil edit icon. We are now inside of the header edit options, and if we go over to edit design on the left, we will see a bunch of layouts. Now if we click the drop down menu and scroll down just a little bit, we'll see, oh, this is the layout we actually want. So click that. We are going to leave spacing, link spacing and element spacing for now the same. And if you scroll further down, you'll see that you have options to add things like drop shadows, borders. I'm going to leave that as it is, but the one thing I am going to do for this site is select fixed position. So this makes your header stay visible as a user scrolls down the page, which can help with navigation. I also want to make a color change to my header, and I want my header to be the same color no matter what page I visit on my website. And to do this, we head over to color, and we want to change it from adaptive to solid. So in order to change the colors, we click into this icon here and we'll see our Squarespace color palette. We actually also have the option to add a custom color if we want to. I do want to use my beigey color here as my header color. And you can see that we can also change the navigation color as well. I want my navigation color to be this slightly off black, darker green color. So I'm going to select that there, and that is those header options done. So we're going to click out of that. And next, to get this looking a little bit more like our wireframe options, we're going to just add a couple of placeholder pages to our site. So let's do that now. Firstly, we'll want to save up the top here. We'll exit out of this. And here, if we navigate to pages, here you'll see that we can actually see all of the pages on our entire website. So there are two sections here. One is main navigation, and the other is not linked. Any pages that are showing under main navigation show up here on your header, and any other pages on your website still exist, but they don't show up on your header. So they live under the not linked section. Let's add two placeholder pages to our header. In our example, we had our about and services pages. So I'll just quickly add an about page, and clicking here with the plus icon, click blank page and select services, and we now have our services and about pages. To change the layout of what's shown, you can drag and drop. So if we drag about above services, then it will appear first. So by default, the homepage will be shown here. Usually the homepage is linked via your logo, so we don't really want it in our main navigation, just to keep things nice and tidy. So we are going to drag it into our not linked section, and that is where our homepage will live now. So now we want to head back into the edit menu. So we want to go back here, and we want to add in our book a session button to the right, and we also want to change our logo around. So let's go into add elements to the left side here, and this is where you'll be able to add things like your button, some social links, and cart and account and other things which you may or may not need. But let's choose our button. So now we want to edit our button somewhat and just add in the copy that we want, which is book a session. And we want to use our secondary button for this. And now we want to replace our site title with our logo. So firstly, we will want to rename our site title to what our business is actually called. And we do want this to be accurate because this is actually used in search engine results. Even though we are adding a logo, which will replace it, the site title is used in SEO. So to add our logo, we want to click this plus button here and go to upload file. So for our logo height, we do want it to be a bit larger, about 80. Our logo max height, we will leave the same. And we won't add a mobile logo image yet. One last thing with our header that we do want to do is change the typography of our pages that appear to the left side. How will we do this? Because we didn't see these options in our site style settings. So to do this, it's a little bit more of a process, but we basically want to head back into our site styles, and we want to scroll down to fonts. We want to go to assign styles. This here lets you define even more typography styles across your website. So it's not obvious straight off the bat that this is where it lives, but it's good to know. So for our site title, heading font is fine. For our mobile site title, that's fine as well. For our site navigation, we actually want to use our custom font right now. So I still want to use Fiera Sans, but I want the weight to be a bit more balanced between both the button style and the navigation header styles. So that's why I've changed it to 400 here, but we'll leave everything else the same. So we'll come out of Assign Styles and save. And that is our header setup. Okay, now we are up to designing our first section, which is the above the fold section. So if we take a look at our wireframe, we will see that we've got a few key elements planned out here. So we've got our header, our subheader, our descriptor text above the main header, and a call to action button. The gray here actually represents a background image that I've decided will already live there. Let's start designing our main page. Firstly, let's add the main background image that we want in the website. So to do this, we hover over this edit section here. We'll see the edit section icon appear to the right here, and we want to click into this, and we'll come over into background. Here you'll see that you have the option to add an image, video, or art as a background. In this case, we know it's an image, so we will want to select the plus icon and go to upload file. Select our background image, but wait, we are about to upload a 1.4 megabyte file, which is way too big. So it's really important to know that before you upload images, you really want to optimize them for the web. So that means keeping files smaller than 500 KB. Larger images can actually slow down your website and hurt the overall user experience, and also negatively impact SEO, and we do not want that. There is a tool, a free tool that I recommend for compressing images, and it's called Squoosh.app. It's free and really easy to use. So I'll show it to you quickly now. I've got it open here, and how it works is we just click our plus icon here. We navigate to our image that we want to resize, and we open it up. Now we can see that there is an option to resize, which we want to do. I might resize it just to about 1500 since we are using it as a background. If we scroll here, we can see the potential quality loss on the left-hand side, and there's really not too much. So I'm quite happy with the way that looks at the moment. And you can see a preview down here that the file size is now 149 kilobytes, which is great for web. So I'm just going to go ahead and download it now, and that is good to go. So we'll head back over to our website and we can start uploading it. I just want to point out that if you are getting ready to design your website, it's a really good idea to have all of your images or most of your images optimized before you start designing things. It will just make the design process a lot smoother for you. Let's add our image. Okay, so our image has been added. One thing that I want is I want the crop of the image to be closer to Ayla's face, ideally getting the bottom of her smile. With the little circle tool here, you can just kind of show where you want the image to crop, which is great for highlighting specific parts of an image. Also, we can see that our text is too dark and our background is too bright, and it's not good at the moment. It's really not optimized for contrast and readability. So to fix these, we are actually going to change our section color. We are going to choose the darkest one section, and already that has become a lot more readable. We're going to go back to our background and see the option overlay opacity down here at 15%. We are going to bring it up a bit more, about 40%. About 40% works well. And now we can clearly read everything on screen. Another thing that I had done with this website is I added a little bit of a parallax effect to it. And this is easy to create inside of Squarespace, and it just adds a little bit of subtle movement when you scroll. So we'll go to back to our background section again and head on over into image effect. The image effect that we want to use is this one here, parallax. And we'll want to click on the settings icon here. So I tweaked this a little bit just because I wanted it to be very subtle. So we want to change that to 4 and this to 73. So this really creates a really nice subtle movement when we scroll. So now that we've got our background set up, we want to just lay out the text to represent what our wireframe shows. And that is all center aligned. So our first block of text, if we double click into it, we can see that it is left aligned at the moment. And if you click on that little left align icon, you can see other text alignment options here. So we'll go to center align. And I also just want to change the overall alignment to bottom here. So that gives us a nice space between our text. We also want to center align our header text. So we'll do the same thing. And we want to center align our paragraph text, and our button is fine as it is. So overall, we want to create some more space with our header. So let's drag this icon here to create some more room for our above the fold section. We want to bring our button over, and if we hover it over here, we see a line appear through the center. This indicates to us that that is now center on the page. So we kind of want to do that for all of our elements on the page now. So now all of our elements are center aligned. The other thing that we want to do is just shrink our button box. I only want it spanning one set of grid blocks, not two. So I'm just going to drag and drop it here. So you can see that when you hold down and resize something, you can see the underlying grid, which can really be helpful. But there is a way to keep it on all the time, and that is by hitting G on your keyboard, which can be really helpful if you're designing different things. And to turn it off again, just select G. We just want to tighten everything up a little bit and make everything nice and neat inside our allowable editable area. And then we want to head over to Edit Section and head on over to our section height options here and click on L. This will allow more negative or white space to be seen. And because this is our above the fold section and it's very important, we do want there to be some good breathing room. And I'm even feeling like I do want it to increase a little bit. So I will actually drag down on my section and add a little bit more space and bring this all a little bit down. Okay, so that is our above the fold section designed. Next, we are heading into the hype section. Awesome, now we're moving on into our hype section. So if we quickly consult our wireframe here, you'll see that this section includes a logo. We're going to use a stack logo here and a hype statement. So to start, we are going to copy this hype statement over. So I'm going to copy this text and we are now going to add a new section below our above the fold. And to do this, we click on the blue add section here and we will also add a blank section again. Let's add our text block and we are going to change this to heading 2. Now again, we do want this to be center aligned. So clicking the edit pencil here, we will come in to see our text alignment and we're going to choose center. We're going to drag it into the center again and we'll just actually have a bit more breathing room. Okay, good. That's looking good. I want to change my color palette here to start breaking up the website. So I'm going to head over to my edit section on the left and I'm actually going to head over to my colors and choose my dark 1 color palette. This green is really eye-catching and I really feel like it works well for this hype section. So now we want to add in our stacked logo option. To the left-hand side, select add block and choose image. We'll drag it above our text and select the plus and then upload file. So we want to grab our stacked version, open that, and I want to drag it and resize it, make it a little bit smaller, and bring up our text as well, and make that a little bit smaller. Okay, and we also want to actually highlight a couple of words on our hype section, italicized, just to really draw attention to them. And these are offers science-backed support, so really drawing in that science-backed. And we also want to highlight the word thriving because that's the end result and it would be really good to highlight that. Okay, now that everything is nicely aligned, we have finished with our hype section and we'll move on next to our about section. Awesome, let's check back with our wireframe. So this is our about section and here you can see that we've planned for a header, a paragraph, call to action button, and this box here represents an image of Ayla where the wireframe is, and it's got a slightly rounded shape to it. So let's jump back into Squarespace and first start off by copying the text across. We'll make this paragraph heading 2 and we'll make this paragraph 2. And we will make the button secondary style. Okay, now we want to add our image of Ayla in. So head up to the left add block and search for image, select upload file. Okay, now that we've got our image in place, we want our text to be on top of our image and our image to be behind our text and have rounded corners. So let's start by dragging it out and expanding our image. You can see that when we expand our image, there is a bit of space in the bounding box. It has gotten larger, but the aspect ratio has remained true to the original image size. And we do want to change that. So in order to do that, click onto our image, select our pencil icon and head over to design. So in here we can see we've got fit, fill and shape. So fill means that the image is filled to the aspect ratio of our bounding box, and shape means that our image is cut out using a shape. So for us, we want to use the fill option and use our corner radius option here to create our rounded edges. So we just want to type in 20 here, and that will give us a rounded corners of 20. I also want to add in a subtle parallax effect on this image as well. So if you recall, to do this, we head over to our image effect and we choose parallax here, click on the settings, and we want to change our intensity to 26 and our angle to 45. Now we've got our image all up and running, and if we scroll we can see that we have that really nice parallax effect going. Our only problem is we can't see our text anymore. Don't worry, it's still there. We just need to change the arrangement of our elements on screen. So if we click on our image, we can see up the top here we have our move backward icon, and we want to press this until our image is at the very back of our stack. Now we want to expand our image a bit, bring it to the edges of our grid and give it a little bit more breathing room. Something like that looks nice. And now we want to style our type a little bit. So let's grab all of our type and bring it over. So although we have chosen our heading 2 type size, I'm actually going to handle the text size differently. I'm going to use the scale text option. And what that does is it actually scales our text to the size of our bounding box, similar to how our images fit to the size of the bounding box now. So now that lets us create a really nice kind of structure with our content here. For our paragraph, we are going to want to change this to justified. So it really creates a clean block-like look that matches to the width of our expanded headline. Justified text means that the paragraph is aligned evenly on both the left and right sides. And for our button, we are going to leave it as it is at the moment. So that is our about section done. So if we save this now and we click on exit and we click this little preview arrow up the top here on the left hand side, we can actually start to get an overall sense of how our website is coming along, which is really cool. So if we scroll down, we can see that we've got a really subtle movement on our image, we've got our hype section set up, and we've got a really nice parallax motion on our Ayla image. Next, we are going to set up our services and offers pages. Okay, now we're going to create our offers and services section. So let's check our wireframe. So you'll see on the wireframe that we've mapped out 3 main offers of Ayla's practice, along with a heading and a call to action button. So each offer includes the name of the offer, highlighted with an oval accent, a short paragraph explaining the offer, and a button to find out more, and also a call to action to contact Ayla as well. So let's start building this in Squarespace. We want to go into our edit setting up here, and we'll want to go below the about page and choose add section. Now we will want to again add a blank section. Now let's give ourselves a little bit more breathing room. So we'll just drag our section down a little bit. Then we want to go to add block up the top, and we want to find ourselves a shape. We want to find a rectangle. So we'll bring this into the center for now and drag it down a little bit. Based on our wireframe, we can see that again we're using the rounded corners. So we'll want to do what we've done previously and head to the edit pencil up the top here, and again type in 20 for our rounded corners. Next, let's copy and paste over the text for the first lot. So we'll go to add a block, text, paste in our copy, and we'll choose paragraph 2 for that. I'll just make this a little bit bigger. We'll bring our copy down, and then we'll also copy our find out more. For this, we are actually using text as a kind of placeholder button. So we're just going to drag that below here. Next, we just need to add our first image for our coaching service. So we're going to add block, add image, select the plus icon, select Upload File. Like we've done previously, we want our image to fit the edges of the bounding box. So we'll click into the Edit Pencil and we'll go into Design and select Fill. We also want a corner radius of 20, so we'll add that in here and we'll drag our image over our first section container. So I want a little bit more of the image showing. I'm also just going to move down the text to create a little bit more breathing room and drag the image down a little bit. If we click on our image and select the Edit Pencil, you can see that we see the focal point selector again. For this crop, I really want a nice kind of abstract crop that doesn't take away all of your attention, say if we had all of her face showing, but has a little bit of her face showing, so maybe just perhaps showing her lips. So I want to drag the focal point until it's got the crop that I want. So that's starting to look quite close to how our wireframe example looked. Now we just need to create the title of the service with the circular accent. So we're going to copy over coaching. We're going to add a text block, and I'm actually going to use paragraph 2 for this. I'm also going to bold and italicize it here, and I want to make this center aligned as well. If we drag our text over our image at the moment, we can see that it is terrible for readability. There is no contrast, the text is lost in the image. So we will definitely want to make this text white. To do this, we highlight our text and we click on the color swatch here and we'll select white. There's also still not enough readability. So what we want to do is add an overlay on our image to make it a bit darker. So click on our image, select the Edit Pencil icon and select Design. Below you'll see Overlay. We'll want to toggle this on. This adds a darker overlay which makes the text a lot more readable. So if you click into it, you can actually adjust the amount of overlay that's showing. So I'll click on our black swatch here and I'll just drag it down until there's a nice balance of the two. I think that looks quite good. It's still readable and it's still got enough contrast in it. Finally, we want to add our oval or circular accent to our service name. So to do this, we'll select Add Block and we will search for shape. And we want a circle or oval. If we click on our Edit Pencil, we can choose what shape we get by clicking the drop down menu here, and we want to select circle. Now we want to keep stretching on, but we don't want it filled. We only want a stroke. To do this, we select the color swatch here and we can select into it again and drag it all the way down so the fill is transparent. But to get a stroke, you'll see stroke below, and currently it's turned off. To turn it on, we want to select the middle icon here, which is a solid stroke. This one over here is a dotted stroke. We want it to be thin, so we'll select S, and we want to change the color to white as well. So we'll click the circle icon here and select white. Now we can't see it on our white background, but if we drag it over our container, we can see it very clearly. Now we want to align coaching in the center of the oval. So to do this, we'll drag our oval till it's about centered. And really, to make this easier to edit, I really want my circle shape to be below the text, and I want my text layer to be on top. So to do this, click on your shape layer and select Move to Back just once, and that will make our text the top layer of our stack. Now that we've got the alignment issue adjusted, let's center align coaching. If we drag our text bounding box to be the same bounding box as our shape, this isn't really where we want coaching to be. We want it to be in the center. So to fix this, you'll select Align Center. Now our text and our oval are perfectly aligned with each other. Lastly, I don't want the shape to be that large, so to edit that, I'm just going to pull my text box in a little bit, and this will allow me to edit our shape. So bring it in, I'll bring it in a little bit thinner as well. Something like that is good. So now I just want to adjust our spacing here at the bottom. And I also want to, if I had a page to link to, I would link my Find Out More to the coaching page. Since we don't have a page set up at the moment, we won't link it here. And I just want to add a little underline to this link to make it stand out a little bit more. And to do this, we click into our text and head over to underline, and I will just make it a little bit thinner, so 0.05. And that is our first service container designed. And now once we've got this one set up, it becomes a lot easier to create the other two because we can copy and paste these. To do this, highlight everything on the screen and select Command or Control C and Command or Control V. This creates a copy of everything. Gonna make some more breathing room. Now we've got two copies of our services. I'm going to create the third one, so Control C and Control V, and we've got our third one here. We just want to align it all, so I'll just highlight it all and bring it down. Now they're all aligned with each other, and we've actually managed to get the boxes quite even, which is great. But if we didn't know the width of each box, we can obviously come and select G on our keyboard now, and we can count, okay, this one is 8 spaces apart, and we can make each one the same amount so it's all even. So I'm now going to start adding in our new content to our middle block. So if we consult the wireframe again, we'll see that it is gut reset program. So I'll just copy and paste this text, and I will be able to easily paste it in place. We'll select bold again and select italicize, and we'll also select our white. Oh, so we can see that we've had a little bit of misalignment happening here. So let's just tidy this up first. Drag everything down. That's better. And we will tighten up our shape layers as well. I also want my text to be more in the center, so I'll just drag each element up. Okay, so now let's finish copying and pasting our text across. Okay, so now that we've got all of our copy in place, I can see the gut reset program looks a little bit too close to the edges here, but because we don't have enough room to keep a nice border around the oval, meaning like if we did drag the oval out any further, it would touch the edges of the image, and I don't want that. So what I am going to do instead is just head back into our site styles, and I'm actually going to tweak text size of paragraph 2. So I'm just going to take it down 1.1 point, and that should be enough to give us a bit more breathing room around that lockup. Yeah, that's a lot better. Sometimes you'll come across things like that and you'll just have to tweak it as you go. So now I'm just going to continue replacing the images out. So if we click onto our placeholder, our new placeholder image, and select the edit pencil icon, click replace and upload file. And here we're going to choose the image that we're using for our gut reset program. And we are going to want to add on our overlay again. So head over to design, and we already have the overlay, but because each image is different in terms of its brightness and contrast, we might have to adjust it manually for each one. So we will add more of an overlay to this particular image. That's a lot better for readability purposes. And we'll do the same with the last one here. And again, this one needs a little bit more of an overlay. That looks about good. And I think the crop works well for this too. So now that we've got all of our services sections set up, I'm just gonna fine tweak it a little bit and bring our text, our buttons up one, and I'm going to bring our sections in up as well. There, that's a lot better. So the final elements we have to add are our header for each section and our call to action button and our lines. So let's copy and paste our header. We're going to place in our header text. So we're going to add block, hit text, and put in choose your toolkit. But before I change that, I'm just going to highlight and drag all of these sections down so it doesn't mess up our alignment. Now I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to change it to heading 2. Now I'm going to drag this out. For this, we are actually going to leave it left aligned, but I do want to emphasize toolkit, so let's italicize that now. Now we've got a bit too much breathing room. Let's highlight everything and bring it up about there. And we want to add our line detail. So to do this, go to add block and look for line. This just adds a basic line, and we want to keep this in center with the text. So we'll drag it down. We'll align it in between 2 blocks worth of grid spacing. And we'll just drag it out and we'll bring it close to Toolkit. So now that just adds a little bit of emphasis and draws your eye more towards the Choose Your Toolkit header. We actually will just bring this back 1 and we'll tidy up this text box here. Now we want to do the same for the bottom. So we want to add a button. So go to Add Block and Button, and our primary button style is fine here. We want to say chat about your options. So we'll grab our text from Figma and select the edit pencil and paste in our text or type in our text. And again, we want to keep it consistent. So we want a thinner button style, and we want to add another line, and we want this line to align with our button. So we won't need to drag it across 2 blocks worth of grid spacing. We just need to keep it in the one. And that is our offers and services page done. Although now that I have been looking at the site, I'm going to hit save and I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to preview the website. So what I've been noticing is that going from our about section to our offers and services section, it's not quite broken up as much as I would like it to be. So what I might do is add a scrolling block, and let's do this now before we move on any further. We want to head back into our site edit menu, and we want to, between about section and offers and services, hit add section. And we just want to still add a blank section, but we want to make the section quite thin. So we want to head over to our edit pencil and we want to say remove our section fill. So just turn it off completely. And now we want to make this a color. So I'm thinking of our dark green color. Head over to edit section and select colors and select dark 2. Now we want a scrolling block. And a scrolling block is really great to break up a website and just add a little bit more visual interest. Select add block and type in scrolling, and we can see that we've got some text scrolling, which is great. So the text that we want to use should relate to Ayla in some capacity. So I might actually make it relate to our offers and services below. To edit this, we can come down and select edit pencil and head on into the first one. So instead of dream it, I will write coaching. My camera just died, so we are in the middle of creating our scrolling section. So I've just filled in the text here with things that are relevant to Ayla. So coaching, I've added a bullet point, I've added gut reset, I've added another bullet point, and then I've added recipes and another bullet point. So another thing I want to do is go over to design here, and I want to click on speed. I want it to be a little bit slower, so I'll put 0.5 as our speed. That looks a bit better. For our text styling, I actually want to choose our paragraph text, and I want it to be a bit smaller. So I will click into this and just reduce it somewhat. 1.2 looks good. And now we'll just drag down our section a little bit so we've got a bit more room either side. For the section, I'd really like our text, our scrolling text, to be our light green color, but at the moment, because of how the color options are set up, it's white. And we can change this by going into our edit section menu, click on the pencil and scroll over to colors. Now, if we scroll down, we can see we're on dark 2 at the moment. If we go on into our edit pencil here, this will actually open up our color theme, which will allow us to fine tune the colors a little bit more. So what I like to do is select Control or Command F and search for scroll. Now we can see scrolling, and we can see that our paragraph color is actually set to white. If we click into this, we can make this a light green color and it changes up here. So this is really handy to know about if there are sections of your Squarespace site where you're not quite sure how to change the color of something. Find your color theme, head into your edit pencil and really search for what it is you're looking for. As you can see, there is a lot that you can actually customize. So yeah, it's a good idea to do that when you just find something that's not the color you want it to be. So now that's done, we'll just close this and we'll head back out of here, and this is updated. So the last thing we want to do is actually drag our box to the very end of the site so it spans the whole entire width of the site. And now I think that helps break up our website in a much more visually interesting way, and it's still very relevant to our website as well. All right, now we have created our offers and services. We are next going to create the contact or valuable offer section. Okay, wow, we are officially halfway through our homepage design. Let's head back into our wireframe and see what our next section is going to look like. So we can see that we've got an overall container shape, and we have our form to the right hand side and an image on the left hand side. And we also have a small label on the top. So let's jump into Squarespace and start building this out. So we're back here, like we've been doing, we hit add section and add a blank section. Now, the main thing we want to get started on is creating that container shape. To do this, we need to add a block again. So select add block and type in shape and select our rectangle shape. So let's drag this out to the very edges of our site and add in our rounded corners. So select the edit pencil, select 20, and now we've got our rounded corner shape. Now we want to create this top bar section here. So to do this, we'll want to duplicate our shape. So select the shape and click duplicate. Now we've got two shapes. So we want to drag this up a bit. Let's for now change the color to our green so we can actually see it. And we can see that we've got our green shape on top of our gray shape. For the section, we want the bottom two corners to actually be flush with the shape. We don't want the rounded edge. So to change this, we click on our shape, click on the edit pencil, and select this icon here. This will allow you to adjust specific corners. So for the left and right bottom corners, we want it to be 0, and save that. The shape pretty much is starting to come together how we want it. So let's just drag and make a little bit more space and add in our image. So let's head over to our add block, select image, and we'll choose our image for this section. So let's drag our image down, expand it out just a bit. So we want our image to fit to the bounding box. So click on our edit pencil, come to design and select fill. And now we can also adjust our bottom left corner radius as well. So click on this icon again and select the bottom left and right 20. Now we can see that it's nice and rounded. Okay, so you can see that our image is actually on top of our header section, but we want it to be below. So in order to do this, we'll click on our top shape and select move forward. Now our image is nice and below that section. For this section, I also want to add an image as the background. So to do this, we want to head over to the right-hand side and select the edit section pencil, select background and hit add image, upload file, and we're going to choose this image as the background. And for our section colors, let's choose light 1. If we head over to background, let's take off this overlay opacity completely. Okay, let's add in our content now. So if we refer to Figma, we'll copy our header. So we'll hit add block, text, and we'll paste our header in here. And we will make this heading 2. And we'll also add in our text above the header, add block, text, and we'll paste it in. And we'll make this our monospace. We want these to be center aligned. Our text and select center aligned. Click into our text and select center aligned. And now let's highlight the words real and italicize it and life. Okay, great. Now we want to add in our actual form block. So to do this, head over to add block and look for form. And as you can see, we've got our form. Now, for the purposes of this website, I think all the form fields work well. So you've got your name, last name, email, subject, and message. But if you did want to add extras, you can easily do that by coming to your edit pencil and selecting edit form fields. And here you can see that you can add a field or add multiple fields, and there's a whole lot you could add, which can be really helpful. While you're setting up your form, you'll also want to change it to perhaps contact form. And I will leave the designer as it is because I do think it works quite well as it is already. But the next thing we need to do is add our text for the header bar. So it says send a note, so we'll copy that. We'll add our text in, drag it over and paste it in here. And we'll just bold and italicize it again and make it center aligned. Now, drag it into the center and we'll align it center as well. So I do want to make this shape a little bit thinner. So we'll just drag that up. Drag the image up and drag our whole block upwards, and we'll just drag out everything up actually, and we'll just make sure our spacing is even across all sides. Okay, that's looking good. Now let's add in our circle shape. So search for shape, select the edit pencil, select the circle shape, and remember we want to delete the fill. So we'll click on here and drag that all the way down, and we'll click on stroke. We'll actually make the thickness less. So now we can drag the shape over and highlight our send a note text. Bring that up snugly, also bring our text in. So it's good to have both text and element aligned perfectly. It will just help when things are resized on your site. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I just want to drag all of our entire elements now just a bit further up. So I'll highlight everything and I'll just drag everything up to reach the top of that section. And then I'll drag our section up, and that's it for our contact section. It's looking really good. So now let's consult our Figma and see what we're moving on to next. So next up is the lead magnet section. Okay, so now we're up to the lead magnet section. Consult our wireframe. You'll see that for the section, we've got our header, our subheader, and we've got a newsletter sign up as well. So let's jump into Squarespace and start building this out. So just like we've been doing, we want to add a section, add a blank section, and hit add block. And we want to start off with a shape. A rectangle is fine. So we'll just drag it out to the edges of our website, and we'll again create our rounded corners. Now just make it a little bit bigger. I would like to use the green color for this. So select edit and choose color and choose our dark green for this one. So now let's copy across our content. So add block text, and we'll copy our header. And we'll change this to heading 2, and we'll also make this white, and add another text block, and we will drag this below. We'll copy it and we'll paste it here. We'll also make this white. Now I'll drag this out so it's on one line, and I'll drag this out so it's below our header. So for our lead magnet section, we're also going to add in a newsletter block. So to do this, go to add block and search for newsletter. Now we want to get rid of the additional text on this block. So come to the edit pencil and just delete the title there, delete the description, and delete the disclaimer, and drag this below. Now we want to add in our images. So select add block and choose image and select upload file. So we've got a couple of lead magnet imagery, one in an iPad, and this is a PNG by the way. So that means that there is a transparent background, so we can have it across any kind of background, which is really handy. And we want to select add block again and choose image and bring this over, select upload file and look for our phone. Now I'm just going to adjust sizing of these two items, but they're looking pretty good. I might just bring them over here. And I also might bring all of our content up a little bit and reduce our bounding box size. So that's looking good. I also might make this section a little bit smaller to make it even on both sides. We do want to click into our newsletter block and we want to align this to the left. So we'll click on our edit pencil and select design and alignment to the left. That way everything is nice and in alignment. So one more thing I should mention with the newsletter block is that if we click on it and click the pencil icon, if we head over to storage, this is where we can see where the integrations for the mail options live and what exists inside of Squarespace. So if we click on Squarespace at the top here, you'll see that you can send a confirmation email and have this set up. But in order to use these specific settings here, you would actually need to have a paid add-on in Squarespace for their email services. And what if you don't want that? Well, there are other options. So if we go back and we go into other storage options, you can see that we have Google Drive, Zapier, and MailChimp. So say you already had a MailChimp account, you could connect it here directly inside of Squarespace. But other options you could do is you could connect Zapier. So if you were looking for a free option, MailChimp is great. I think they allow a certain number of subscribers for free before you have to pay. But you could connect Zapier, for example, to collect email signups and deliver your freebie to your lead within Zapier or Gmail, doing it for you. That is without paying for an email platform. So you could even set Zapier up to do things like collect your signups and add them to a Google CRM sheet to collect your emails while you were getting started with your website. And that could be a really easy option for the time being while you're just getting started and you don't want to look into which email platform is best for you to use yet. You don't want to be limited and you want to still collect emails. Setting Zapier up to work with your current Gmail or Outlook accounts would be a good option. So if you'd like a separate tutorial on how to set up those integrations, let me know because I'd love to walk you through it. But for now, let's get back to the design side of things. And that essentially wraps up the lead magnet section. So let's move on to the next section. Okay, now let's add a new blank section. So select add section, add blank section, and let's consult our wireframe for a second. We are now up to the testimonials section. But if we look at the design of the testimonials section, it looks pretty familiar. It looks pretty similar to our services and offers section up the top here. This is really good because in Squarespace, you can actually save sections and reuse them. So let's jump in and do that now. Let's scroll up to our previous section. And if you hover over it, you'll see that there's this little heart icon. This allows you to save a section. So we'll save the section. Now our section's been saved. If we scroll down to our new we actually didn't need to add a blank section. We scroll down and we select add section, we can add a saved section. So now that we've got this design pretty much in place, we can just look at and refer to our wireframe and copy and paste things out. So it makes the process a lot easier. So let's start off by doing that with our header. We'll paste that in. Let's add our accent at the top. So we'll add a block, text. Just drag this over here. And we'll select monospace and we're just going to drag everything down just a little bit so we can put that on top. That's much better. We'll align this to the bottom and we'll now just drag everything up by 1. Okay, great. Now we're going to change out our images slightly to be our testimonial images and our copy as well. So I'll just quickly copy and paste in the copy. Okay, now that we've got our testimonial copy in place, let's get rid of these button links. We'll just delete those. Let's reuse these because in our mockup we have our testimonial names highlighted in the same way. So let's paste in our new name here. And this time we do want to keep it black. So we will italicize and bold it. And then we'll just drag this below the image and we'll drag our shape below as well. Now we'll want to change our stroke color. So go into the pencil icon and select our stroke color. And we'll do this for the rest of them as well. Okay, now that we've done that, let's tweak our overall design. So let's firstly replace our images with our actual customers. Okay, so it looks like we still have an overlay effect. So we want to reduce that. So let's go into our edit pencil, select design, and we want to just drag it down a little bit. And we'll do this for each image. Now we've got a much more consistent look across all of them. So the last thing I'd like to do is actually change the body text to be the same style as our header text. So let's drag our button and line down a little bit and get ready to change our text. So let's make this our heading 4. Okay, that's looking good, but let's center align this. I think we just need a little bit of breathing room between the name and the text now, and the image as well. So let's just drag everything down a little bit. Okay, that's looking good. So now let's do the same to the other two. Okay, now we'll just make this heading 4 and we will center align it, and we'll make this heading 4 and center align it as well. And we'll just bring it down, bring this down as well. That's looking really good. The last thing, just fix this up. But the last thing I'd like to do is make this a slightly different color. So let's head over to our edit section and we'll go to light 1. So this just breaks things up nicely. The last thing I'd like to do is just drag this up to be a little closer to our tiles. Okay, and drag that up. Now we're done with our testimonial section. Everything's looking really good so far. Oh, I can see that I actually don't have the correct copy for that, so let me just fix that quickly. Everything now has the correct copy. I might actually bring all of them down one as well, all of the names. Everything's looking really good so far. Now we can move on to the next section. And if we consult our wireframe, we can see that that is the final CTA section. We're so close now. Now we're up to our final CTA section. So let's check in on our wireframe quickly. So we can see that we have a similar shape again as to one we had before. So I'm actually going to do the same trick of saving a section and using that as a base. So let's jump into Squarespace and do just that. So first up, let's delete this rogue blank section I created. So to do that, you hover over your section and you can see remove here, and we are sure, so we'll remove that. Now let's scroll up to our contact section and do the same thing. Let's save it. Now, let's scroll down to the bottom of our site and hit Add Section. And let's add our saved section. So now we already have the section as a base. It's going to speed up a lot of time for us again. First up, what I want to do is I know that I want to add an image in the background to this section. So let's do that. I'm going to hit Edit Section and I'm going to replace the background image. But this time I've actually got a video. And I think this is a really cool way to end a website with your final call to action being a video. It just really draws in the eye a lot more. So let's head over to our video and upload a file, and we've got it here. Okay, and our video has uploaded. So now we've got our new background in. Let's head out of this and start adjusting things. So firstly, let's delete the form. So click on the form and select the trash icon, and let's consult our wireframe real quick. Okay, so we've put our text this side and our image this side now. So let's first of all copy our text and paste it into our current. Well, we want this to be heading 2, and we do want it to be center aligned, and we just want a button that says book a free call. So we'll remove that and we will add a block, add a button, and we will select our pencil icon here and select paste. Okay, so we've got the base set up. Let's move our image to the right and move our text to the left. Now I want to just tighten this up since we don't have a whole bunch of information. We can definitely make this a lot smaller. Okay, that's starting to look really good. Let's quickly replace our image with the chosen image. So I really feel like this image works really well to say it's time to feel good in your body again because it's someone swimming, and also the colors really complement each other. You've got your greens, and then the woman in the shot is wearing a really nice orange bathing suit, so it works really well together. So let's go back and get our final text, which is gut health nutrition. We'll paste that in, we'll bold and italicize it. We'll actually bring this over here. Okay, this is all looking really good. The last thing we want to do is actually change our section color. So head over to the edit pencil, select color, and change it to darkest 1. And that's just because we want our green button, but this has actually inconvenienced us in a little way and made this white. So let's just make this black again. Just drag this to be perfectly center aligned, and we'll change our text color as well, back to black. Okay, that's looking really good. I might just readjust the position of this image, bring it down a bit more. That's looking really nice. And overall, we might make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, that's looking good. So now we want to just make sure we reverse our rounded corners on our image. So let's select the image, select the pencil icon, and go over to design. So let's get rid of our rounded edge there and we'll put it on our right hand side. So we'll make our right hand side 20. And that is looking really, really nice. Let's highlight the word good as well and italicize just to draw some extra attention to it. And that is the final call to action section, which is looking really good. And of course, if we had our contact page, we would link our button to the contact page, but we don't have that just yet. So we're actually up to the final part of designing our homepage, which is looking at the footer. If we check our wireframe, you'll see that we've kept this footer pretty simple, but even a basic footer is very effective. I didn't cover footers too in depth in the last video or this one because I do think they deserve their own tutorial, but for now we'll build a clean and functional version to wrap everything up. So let's get back into Squarespace. You'll see that under Add Site Footer, you can add a section. So let's select this button here. So if we come down to footer on the side here, you can see that they offer us some pretty nice options to start off with. I'm going to choose this one on the right hand side here because that gives us a pretty clean starting point. So let's consult our wireframe really quick. So you can see that we're going to add in our services, about, and contact under category. So we will copy and paste those in here. Obviously, if we had them, we would link to them. And then we also want to have a contact section. We will make this italic actually. It's a really good idea to add in any contact information clearly, like hours worked, your email address, and things like that. So let's just paste that in there. Okay, perfect. And now we want to sign off our website again with our logo. So let's remove our placeholder text and select add block, select image, select plus icon, and select from library since we've already uploaded it. Here we go, and let's add that in again. Now let's shrink that down just a little and let's align it to the left. Okay, that's looking good, and we'll align it to the same height as the category. Now we would want to add our social links in the bottom. So it's quite handy that we've already got our social links here. So we'll click into this block, select the edit pencil and add a social link. So you would put your own URL in obviously, but for now I'll just put in the websites. Okay, we are almost done. So I just want to add a little bit more breathing room to the footer. So I'll just drag our section down a tiny bit. So I'll just now add in our privacy policy and terms and conditions links. So I'll just add text and I'll drag it to the center. And now we want to center align this, and we also want to make it our monospace type, and we'll just drag it down a little bit to give it some breathing room and a little bit more. And obviously we would want to have these pages up and running, and we would link to them if they were up and running. But that is essentially it. We have designed our whole entire homepage based on our strategy and plan, and now we've got our whole functioning homepage. This is amazing. Now, one thing we haven't covered yet is actually editing in the mobile editor. And I didn't cover this while we were constructing our homepage because it would break up the tutorial a little bit. But let's quickly look at mobile editing now. So to get into our mobile editor, you can see on the top right-hand side, we're currently in desktop view. If we hover over the next icon, you'll see that this is mobile view. So let's click into this. At the moment, we do have our base elements set up, but they are not really in alignment of how we want them to be. So when it comes to mobile editing, it's kind of our job to take everything we've designed and really make them work for mobile. So let's do an example here. Let's click into our above the fold section. Let's start adjusting and aligning things. So everything so far is looking all right. We just want to get the spacing a little bit more consistent, and we definitely want our button to be in the center. For mobile view, I do generally like to drag the buttons fully to the bounding box edge, but that's a generalization. I don't always do it. Let's tighten up our section a little bit. Okay, perfect. So that's still working really well as our main section. I would even think there's a little too much breathing room. So we can come over to edit section, and we might even reduce our height a little bit. So maybe we'd say this is quite good. Now, if we save this and we head back over to our desktop view, we will have made those same adjustments in the desktop view, but we really want to strike a balance between both. So when you're editing in mobile, it's a good idea to go back and check how it's looking in desktop to make sure things are still working in both. It's like a balancing act between the two. So let's go back to our mobile editor, and we've done our above the fold section, and now let's look at our hype section. So this is definitely a bit out of whack. We want the logo to be a lot smaller, so all we have to do is resize it and shrink it down. We'll bring our text up a bit, and we'll also bring our section up a little bit. So that's looking really good. That didn't take us long to tweak, and I'm pretty confident that nothing will have majorly changed in our desktop view. So when we scroll down to our about section, this is where things have become a little bit skewed. So our text is really large and nothing's really in alignment like how it was. I mean, this doesn't look bad, but if we want to keep it more in line with how it was before, we'll want to tweak things around. So I'm just going to resize the text, and I'm going to drag our image down. I'm going to send our image all the way to the back. Now, with something like this, I don't mind the crop. I think it's fine and works with our website, but you'll see that you might have to do a little bit of adjustment with the image if you wanted to. So remember our little circle, you could bring it over a little bit and get more of her face in. And again, we want to shrink our button, and maybe we'll make our section a little bit smaller and bring more of her in frame. And we'll drag this up. So let's check how this is looking on our desktop view. Yeah, this is looking fine. Okay, that's great. Let's keep going with our mobile editor. And now we're up to our offers and services. And this has really gone haywire. We will need to do a lot of fixing up to make sure that this is looking good. We can start by dragging down our container. We'll resize our box, and that's looking good. Coaching was in the middle, and let's bring it in. Our circle shape was around our coaching, so we'll just bring that in as well. We'll just send our shape to the back. Now we've got our text on top, and our text has changed alignment. We'll just make that center. Okay, now we've got our basic shape and image reset up. Let's get our body text. So we'll drag this in, and we'll drag our button up. Okay, perfect. That's looking pretty good. Essentially, we'll just do the same thing for all of these elements. I won't make you watch me doing this for the whole website. I'll just quickly do it now. Okay, so now finally we've got our mobile view of our services set up. Let's save this and quickly check over on our desktop view to make sure things are still looking good. Yep, they're looking really good. So that means that our mobile view layout hasn't changed anything majorly. I would go through and do this for the whole entire website and check between each as you go. So another thing to note with mobile view is that we've got our edit site header up here as well. We can edit our menu somewhat. So if we click edit design, we can choose the layout of our mobile view. So let's match our website's one, and we can actually change the color as well. If we click on menu and click the pencil, we can also edit the menu icon. So I quite like this plus, and I'd like it to be a little bit bolder. We can change the site title and logo as well. Click onto it and then click the edit pencil. We can make mobile max height bigger, which I think we definitely need to for our current logo. Okay, that's looking really good. And if we head over to view menu, then we can see what our menu is currently looking like. And we also have the option to edit the design and the color. So we can align things center or left or right. I quite like the center alignment, so I'll leave it as it is. We can adjust the link spacing here as well. Might just leave it there. So if we click on color, you'll see that we can actually change it to our light 1 or 2, which works quite well because that matches our desktop site header. So I might save it as it is. So we can close menu, and that is mobile editing. I won't go through the whole entire process of mobile editing because it's really just tweaking and refining things as you go. Big congratulations for finishing your homepage, and I really hope you found this useful and learned a lot. Now that you've built your homepage and you're moving forward with your Squarespace website, make sure you're not making one of these 5 common website mistakes that could be hurting your business.